The night was quiet in rural Nebraska. Lily Harmon stood on her porch watching the stars. She lived alone on the farm she had inherited from her grandparents. At 32, she found peace in the simple life, away from the busy cities where she once worked as a scientist. Tonight was different. The stars seemed brighter, more alive. Lily wrapped her cardigan tighter around her shoulders as the cool September air brushed against her skin. Then it happened. A flash of light tore through the night sky. At first, Lily thought it was a meteor, but it moved too strangely, slowing down instead of speeding up. The light grew larger, coming closer to her farm. Most people would have run inside, called someone, or even driven away. But Lily felt something pull her forward. Curiosity overcame fear as she stepped off her porch and walked into the wheat field. The object hovered above the field, about 50 feet in the air. It wasn't like any aircraft Lily had ever seen. It looked like liquid metal, flowing and changing shape, reflecting the moonlight like a mirror made of water. It made no sound as it slowly descended. Lily stopped at the edge of her wheat field. Her heart raced, but she couldn't look away. The air felt charged with energy, making her skin tingle. The ship, if that's what it was, settled gently in a clearing. The wheat bent away from it as if pushed by an invisible force. A section of the silver surface rippled and opened, revealing a soft blue light from inside. A figure stepped out and stood at the edge of the opening. Lily squinted, trying to make out details in the dim light. The figure moved forward with unusual grace, almost floating rather than walking. As the visitor came closer, Lily saw that she looked like a woman, but unlike any woman Lily had ever seen. Her skin seemed to contain the night sky itself, with tiny points of light moving beneath its surface like stars. Her eyes had no whites or pupils, just swirling clouds of purple and blue light. Her hair moved as if underwater, flowing around her head in slow waves. The strange woman stopped about 10 feet from Lily. They studied each other in silence. "You're not afraid," the visitor said finally. Her voice sounded like music with odd echoes as if she spoke from inside a cave. "I should be," Lily admitted. "But I'm not. Who are you? What are you?" "My name is Nyx," the star-skinned woman replied. "I am the last of the Australian Empire, at least in this part of the galaxy." Lily tried to process this information. An alien, a real alien, standing in her wheat field. "Why are you here? Why my farm?" Nyx moved closer, her movements smooth and flowing. "Your thermal signature," she said, reaching out a hand that stopped short of touching Lily. "It resonates with a frequency I haven't felt in a very long time." Lily noticed that Nyx's hand gave off no heat. In fact, standing close to her felt like standing next to an open freezer. "My thermal signature, you mean my body heat?"
"Yes and no," Nyx said. "It's more complex than simple temperature. My people evolved beyond the need for thermal regulation thousands of years ago. We became beings of pure cosmic energy." Nyx's fingers finally made contact with Lily's arm.
The touch felt like static electricity mixed with ice. Lily gasped but didn't pull away. "My ship is damaged," Nyx explained, looking back at the strange vessel. "I barely escaped the battle that destroyed my home world. I need time to repair it before the hunters find me." "Hunters?" Lily asked, suddenly feeling the weight of the situation. "Someone is chasing you?" Nyx nodded, the stars in her skin shifting with the movement. "The void hegemony. They believe that consciousness should remain trapped in single physical forms. My people's evolution threatened their beliefs, so they seek to wipe us out." Lily looked at her farmhouse, then back at Nyx. A decision formed in her mind, one that would change everything. "You can stay here while you repair your ship. I have a barn where we can hide it." Nyx's face changed, the cosmic patterns shifting, to create what might have been a smile. "You would help me? A stranger from the stars?" "I've always believed we weren't alone in the universe," Lily said. "And you need help. That's enough for me." They worked together through the night to move the ship, which Nyx called the Stellar Thorn, into Lily's barn. It changed size and shape, at Nix's mental command, becoming small enough to fit inside without being seen from the road. As dawn approached, Nix became agitated. I must return to the ship. My form is not yet adapted to your sun's radiation patterns. Before retreating to the stellar thorn, Nix turned to Lily. There is much I haven't told you. Things you might not understand yet. You can tell me tomorrow night, Lily said. Yes, tomorrow night. Nix paused, then added, Your warmth. It reminds me of someone I lost long ago. As Nix disappeared into her ship, Lily stood in the barn doorway watching the sunrise. She felt that her ordinary life had ended, and something extraordinary had begun. What she couldn't know was that 3 dark ships had just entered the edges of Earth's solar system. Ships filled with beings who had tracked Nix across 17 galaxies. Beings who would not stop until they had destroyed the last Australian, and anyone who helped her. Lily went inside to make coffee, unaware that she carried genetic markers, identical to Nix's long-dead bondmate. Unaware that her meeting with Nix was not chance but destiny written in her very DNA. 3 weeks passed. Lily's farm became both a prison and a sanctuary. Each night Nix emerged from her ship to work on repairs, and each night Lily learned more about the stars. Tonight they sat on the barn floor. Tools that seemed to float and change shape lay scattered around them. Nix held a crystal that glowed with inner light, turning it slowly with her mind rather than her hands. Your world is very young, Nix said. My people were already traveling between stars when your ancestors were first discovering fire. Lily hugged her knees to her chest. The barn was cold, despite the summer night outside. Nix's presence always brought a chill to the air. Tell me more about your people, the Australians. Nix set down the crystal, which continued floating above the floor. We began much like humans, bound to flesh and limited by physical form. But over millions of years, we evolved. We learned to merge with the cosmic energy that fills the space between stars. Is that why your skin looks like that? Like it contains galaxies? Lily asked. Yes. What you see is not skin as you understand it. It is a thin membrane containing pure energy, my true self. Nix's eyes swirled with blue light. We became targets because of this evolution. The void hegemony believes consciousness should remain bound to single vessels, single bodies. They hunt down any species that achieves transcendence. Lily thought about this. But why? What threat do you pose to them? Nix was silent for a moment. The stars within her skin seemed to dim slightly. Freedom is always a threat to those who wish to control others. Our evolution meant we could no longer be contained or controlled. We could exist in many places at once, share consciousness across vast distances. What Nix didn't say was how desperately the hegemony wanted her specifically. She was the last keeper of the Australian genetic archive, containing the collective memory and knowledge of billions of her kind. Can you teach me? Lily asked suddenly. About the stars, your technology? Nix looked surprised, the patterns in her face shifting. Some things, perhaps, but your physical form is not ready for the knowledge I carry. Each night followed the eye, same pattern. Nix would work on her ship while sharing stories of distant worlds. Lily would sit nearby asking questions and offering help when she could. Sometimes their hands would touch as they worked, and Lily would feel that strange cold electricity flow between them. During the days, Lily maintained her normal routines as best she could. She tended her small vegetable garden, fed her chickens, and occasionally drove into town for supplies. She made excuses to avoid visitors, afraid of what might happen if someone discovered Nix. But people had begun to notice changes. Strange lights had been seen in the sky. Lily's sudden reclusiveness raised questions in the small farming community, where everyone knew everyone else's business. Sheriff Diane Murphy had known Lily since high school. They weren't close friends, but Diane felt responsible for everyone in her county. When farmers reported unusual lights over Lily's property 3 nights in a row, Diane decided to check things out herself. She drove up Lily's long dirt driveway just as the sun was setting. Lily was on the porch watering plants when the sheriff's car appeared. "Evening, Lily," Diane called as she stepped out of her vehicle. "Haven't seen you around much lately. Everything okay out here?" Lily forced a smile. "Everything's fine, Diane. Just busy with the farm." Diane nodded, looking around casually. "Some folks been seeing strange lights out this way, thought I should check it out." "Probably just been working late in the barn," Lily said quickly. "Had to install some new lights." Diane seemed about to say more when both women noticed something in the sky. 3 dark spots appeared against the sunset, growing larger by the second. "What in the world?" Diane muttered, shading her eyes. Lily felt her heart drop. She knew what those shapes were before she could even make out their details. "Diane, you need to leave. Right now." But it was too late. The shapes grew clearer. 3 obsidian ships, similar to Nyx's but darker, like shadows given form. They moved with precision, spreading out to surround the farm. The barn door flew open and Nyx emerged, her cosmic form glowing brighter than Lily had ever seen. "They've found me sooner than expected," she called. Sheriff Murphy's hand went to her gun, her eyes wide as she took in Nyx's alien appearance. "What the hell is that?" "A friend," Lily said, grabbing Diane's arm. "And those ships are not. We need to run." The obsidian ships descended, hovering just above the farmhouse and barn. Doors opened in their undersides and figures dropped to the ground with inhuman grace. They looked almost human in shape, but moved with mechanical precision. Their eyes were hollow, reflecting no light. "Hegemony hunters," Nyx said, gliding quickly to Lily's side. "We must reach the stellar thorn." Diane pulled free from Lily's grip, drawing her gun. "I don't know what's happening, but those look like hostiles to me." The nearest hunter turned toward them. It raised an arm, revealing a weapon merged with its flesh. A beam of dark energy shot forth, hitting the ground near Diane's feet. "Your weapons can't harm them," Nyx warned. "Follow me if you want to live." They ran for the barn, dodging energy blasts that left smoking craters in the ground. One hunter landed directly in their path, its featureless face turning toward them. Nyx raised her hand, and for the first time, Lily saw the Australian use a weapon. Energy pulsed from Nyx's palm, striking the hunter and sending it flying backward. "Thought your people were peaceful," Lily shouted as they reached the barn door. "Evolution does not mean abandoning the will to survive," Nyx replied grimly. Inside, the stellar thorn hummed with energy, its surface rippling in response to Nyx's presence. The ship had changed over the weeks of repair, growing larger and more complex. Sheriff Murphy stopped at the barn door, staring at the alien vessel. "I can't leave my town unprotected from those things." "They want me, not your town," Nyx said. "If I leave, they will follow." A decision hung in the air between the 3 women. Outside, the hunters surrounded the barn. "Go," Diane said finally. "I'll hold them off as long as I can, give you time to get that thing airborne." Lily shook her head. "I'm not leaving you here to die." Nyx looked between them, the stars in her skin pulsing with increasing speed. "Neither of you has to stay. The ship can carry us all." The barn roof exploded inward as one of the obsidian ships fired upon it. Wooden beams crashed around them. "Decision made," Diane said, pushing Lily toward the stellar thorn. "Let's go." The ship opened at Nyx's mental command, revealing an interior that seemed impossibly large. As they rushed inside, Lily looked back at her farm, her home, knowing she might never see it again. Inside the stellar thorn, Lily and Sheriff Diane Murphy watched in amazement as the walls shifted and rearranged themselves. The interior looked nothing like any aircraft they had seen. There were no seats, no control panels, just flowing surfaces that pulsed with soft light. "Hold on to something," Nyx advised as she merged her hands into what appeared to be a liquid part of the wall. "Onto what?" Diane asked, looking around for anything solid. The ship answered her question. The floor beneath their feet formed raised sections that curved around their legs, holding them in place. The sensation was strange, firm, but gentle, like being held by living hands. The stellar thorn rose smoothly despite the holes in the barn roof. Outside, the hegemony hunters fired at the ship, dark energy beams striking its surface. "Will those weapons damage us?" Lily asked, watching ripples spread across the ship's skin where the beams hit. "Not fatally," Nyx replied, her voice strained, "but they can wound the ship's consciousness enough to limit our escape options." "The ship is alive." Diane's eyes widened. "And conscious?" "All Australian vessels are extensions of ourselves," Nyx explained as they accelerated upward. "Not alive as you understand life, but aware in their own way." They broke through the atmosphere with shocking speed. The blue sky darkened to black within minutes, stars appearing around them. Earth became a blue marble below. Diane gripped the floor formations tightly. "I never thought my first trip to space would be on an alien ship being chased by other aliens." Lily might have laughed if the situation weren't so dire. "Where are we going, Nyx?" "Away from your planet first," Nyx replied, her form seeming to merge more deeply with the ship. "I won't lead the hegemony back to your world if I can help it." The 3 obsidian ships followed, gaining on them. They moved in perfect formation, like predators cornering prey. Nyx guided the stellar thorn toward the moon, using its mass to slingshot them deeper into the solar system. The ship shuddered as one of the hegemony vessels fired a more powerful weapon. "My kind evolved beyond thermal dependence eons ago," Nyx said suddenly, her voice echoing strangely through the ship. "But we lost something precious in that evolution, the warmth of emotion, the heat of passion, the fire of creativity. Your species burned so brightly with all 3. Lily moved closer to Nyx, careful not to disturb her connection to the ship. "Is that why you came to Earth specifically?" Before Nyx could answer, a direct hit from a hegemony weapon rocked the ship. The lights inside dimmed. Nyx's form wavered, the stars within her skin flickering like candles in wind. "Nyx!" Lily reached for her instinctively. "Don't," Nyx began, but it was too late. Lily's hands made contact with Nyx's body just as another blast hit. The moment their bodies connected during the energy surge, something extraordinary happened. Nyx's form destabilized completely, becoming pure energy, instead of dissipating. However, the energy flowed into Lily like lightning seeking ground. Diane watched in horror as Lily's body arched backward, glowing with the same cosmic light that had filled Nyx. Lily. For Lily, the world disappeared. In its place came visions, memories that were not her own. She saw worlds with 3 suns, oceans of liquid metal, cities built from crystalline growths that reached into violet skies. She felt the cold, emptiness of space, the burn of stellar radiation, the hum of cosmic background energy. Most powerfully, she experienced Nyx's first visit to Earth centuries ago. A scout mission that became something more when the Australian encountered humans. For the first time, the fascination with their emotional warmth, their creativity, their passion, all things the Australians had sacrificed in their evolution. She saw Nyx collecting genetic samples, studying human biology, trying to understand how they maintained such heat while remaining physically vulnerable. She watched as Nyx began a secret project spanning centuries, creating a hybrid genetic line that might someday bridge the gap between Australian transcendence and human warmth. With shocking clarity, Lily understood the truth. She wasn't randomly selected. Her family line had been carefully cultivated across generations, producing genetic markers that made her compatible with Nyx's essence. The memories faded, and Lily found herself lying on the floor of the ship. Diane knelt beside her, face tight with concern. "Are you okay?" "What happened?" the sheriff demanded. Before Lily could answer, Nyx's voice spoke, from inside her own mouth. "Temporary merger. Dangerous but necessary." Lily felt Nyx's consciousness alongside, her own distinct but connected like 2 people in the same room. She tried to stand, and her body responded strangely, moving with both human awkwardness and Australian grace. "This is..." Lily couldn't find words. "Unprecedented." Nyx's voice came from her again. Even among my kind, this level of merger was theoretical. Diane backed away slightly. Are you both in there? Lily nodded, feeling the strange sensation of two minds controlling one body. Yes, I can feel her thoughts, her memories. The ship continued moving through space, apparently still responding to Nyx despite her merger with Lily. The hegemony vessels followed, though at a greater distance now. Why me? Lily asked aloud, speaking to the consciousness sharing her body. Of all the humans on Earth? The answer came not as words but as understanding blooming in her mind. Images of a being much like Nyx but different, another Australian from long ago. Nyx's bondmate lost in the early days of the HFY War. You're not just similar to my bondmate, Nyx whispered using Lily's voice. You're her descendant. Diane looked between Lily and the ship's walls. I don't understand any of this. It's complicated, Lily said, her own voice returning. She felt Nyx's presence receding slightly, giving her more control. Apparently my family has alien DNA. Very specific alien DNA. The ship shuddered again as a long-range weapon from one of the hegemony vessels found its mark. Warning lights pulsed through the interior. We can't outrun them forever, Lily said, feeling Nyx's knowledge informing her words. The ship was still being repaired. It's not at full capacity. Then what do we do? Diane asked, the practical sheriff asserting herself despite the impossible situation. Lily felt Nyx's consciousness push forward again, taking partial control. There's a place we might hide, they said together. A place with natural camouflage for this vessel. The stellar Thorn changed course, heading toward the outer planets. Through the ship's walls, which had become transparent in places, they could see the massive form of Jupiter passing by. Where are we going? Diane asked. Lily smiled with half her mouth, the Nyx half. Saturn. Its rings will provide cover while we complete the necessary repairs. And then what? The question hung in the air between them. Lily felt Nyx's hesitation, the secret knowledge the Australians still kept hidden even in their merged state. Then, Lily said, finding her own voice again, we find out why the hegemony wants Nyx badly enough to follow her across the galaxy. Because I don't think it's just about wiping out her species. There's something more. Inside Lily's mind, Nyx's consciousness stirred uneasily. There was indeed something more. Something that could change the fate of two species forever. Saturn's rings spread before them like a vast cosmic ocean of ice and rock. The stellar Thorn slipped between the chunks of debris, its liquid metal surface reflecting the pale golden light of the distant planet. Inside, Lily and Nyx had separated. Again. The merger had been temporary, a survival mechanism triggered by the ship's damage and Nyx's weakened state. Now Nyx floated near the center of the vessel, her form still flickering occasionally like a candle flame in breeze. The hegemony ships are still searching, Diane said, looking at the transparent section of wall that showed the space behind them. The three obsidian vessels moved slowly through the rings, scanning methodically. They're being careful. Why? Don't they just blast through everything? The rings contain elements that interfere with their sensors, Nyx explained. And they want me alive if possible. Lily sat cross-legged on the floor, still processing the memories and knowledge that had transferred during their merger. You still haven't told us everything, Nyx? I saw things when we merged, but there are gaps, big ones. Nyx's starry form dimmed slightly. It is difficult to know where to begin. The beginning would be nice, Diane said dryly. Nyx drifted closer. To them. The Australian civilization wasn't entirely destroyed, as I led you to believe. It fragmented, with survivors scattered across distant galaxies hiding from the hegemony. Why hide instead of fight back? Lily asked. From what I saw in your memories, your people were incredibly advanced. Advanced, yes. But our evolution made us vulnerable in unexpected ways. Nyx gestured, and the ship created a small floating sphere that showed images as she spoke. When we transcended physical form, we gained incredible abilities, existing in multiple places, sharing consciousness, across vast distances, manipulating energy directly. But we lost our ability to reproduce. The sphere showed Australians merging and separating, but no new beings forming. We became functionally immortal, Nix continued. But without reproduction, our population could only decrease, never increase. Each death, rare as they were, became permanent. Diane frowned. So your species is dying out even without the hegemony hunting you? Yes, or it was. Nix turned to Lily. Until we discovered humans. The sphere now showed Earth, zooming in on human beings. Your species fascinated us. So physically limited compared to what we had become, yet burning with creativity, emotion, and reproductive potential that we had lost. Some of my people saw humans as a possible solution to our evolutionary dead end. Lily felt a chill that had nothing to do with Nix's cold energy. The genetic experiments, my family line. Nix nodded, the stars within her shifting. Yes. We identified certain humans whose genetic structure had natural compatibility with our energy patterns. Over generations, we guided the development of these bloodlines, hoping to eventually create hybrid beings who could maintain both Australian transcendence and human warmth. You played God with human genetics, Diane said, her voice hard. For how many generations? 27, Nix replied simply. Lily is the culmination of the project. The first human with fully compatible genetic markers that would allow a stable merger with an Australian consciousness. The implications hit Lily like a physical blow. That's why the hegemony is after you specifically. You carry the key to saving your species through humans. I carry more than that, Nix said quietly. I am the keeper of the Australian genetic archive, the complete memory and knowledge of my civilization. If merged with compatible human DNA, it could create a new path of evolution for both our species. Before they could discuss this further, a new light appeared on the ship's detection system. Something was approaching from the direction of Earth, something smaller than the hegemony vessels but moving fast. Another enemy? Diane asked. Nix focused on the incoming signal. No. Its energy signature is human, but with technology that shouldn't exist on your world yet. The approaching vessel came into view, sleek and silver, clearly built for speed. It slowed as it entered the rings, navigating the debris with surprising skill. It's transmitting a message, Nix said, sounding surprised. The ship's systems translated, the transmission into audible speech. Stellar Thorn, this is Agent Kara Bennett of Earth Special Projects Division, requesting permission to approach and board. We are here to offer assistance against the hegemony forces. Diane stared at the human ship in disbelief. Earth has a special projects division that knows about aliens? Apparently so, Lily said. She turned to Nix. Can we trust them? Nix studied the approaching vessel. Their technology appears to incorporate elements of crashed hegemony ships. It seems your governments know more than they admit to your general population. After a brief discussion, they decided to allow the Earthship to approach. The Stellar Thorn created a docking extension, forming a sealed pathway between the two vessels. The woman who entered wore a sleek black uniform with no obvious insignia. She was tall, with dark hair pulled back tightly and sharp, observant eyes that took in everything about the alien ship's interior. Agent Kara Bennett, she introduced herself briskly. And you must be the Australian our sensors detected entering our solar system. Her gaze shifted to Lily and Diane, along with two humans who are now far from home. How did you find us? Lily asked. We've been monitoring unusual energy signatures for decades, Kara explained. When the Stellar Thorn landed in Nebraska, we detected it immediately but chose to observe rather than intervene. When the hegemony ships entered our system, however, protocols changed. Your government knows about the hegemony? Nix asked, drifting closer. Kara nodded. Earth governments have been aware of extraterrestrial presence since the mid-20th century. The hegemony made contact in the 1980s, offering technology in exchange for being allowed to pursue certain fugitive species if they entered our solar system. They wanted permission to hunt us, Nix said, her voice cold. And your leaders agreed. Some did, Kara admitted. Others, like the division I work for, have been collecting intelligence on both sides, trying to determine Earth's best interests in this cosmic conflict. Diane crossed her arms. And what have you decided? Are you here to help us or capture Nyx for your hegemony friends? Kara smiled thinly. If I were here to capture her, I would have brought more than one ship. I'm here because my division believes the hegemony's influence on Earth has grown too strong. We want to understand the Australian side of this war before choosing our path forward. Lily felt Nyx's thoughts brush against her mind, a lingering effect of their temporary merger. The Australian was considering something, weighing options and risks. I'll tell you what the hegemony really wants, Nyx said finally. But first, I need to know what resources your division can provide, because the hegemony ships will find us eventually, and when they do, this hiding place will become a trap. Kara activated a small device on her wrist. A holographic display appeared, showing the position of multiple Earth vessels throughout the solar system. We have experimental fighters based on reversed engineered technology, positioned near Mars. They can be here within hours. How many? Nyx asked. 12 ships, 24 pilots. Kara looked up at Nyx. Enough to distract the hegemony vessels. While we escape, not enough for a direct confrontation. Lily felt another brush of Nyx's thoughts. An idea was forming in the Australian's mind. Something dangerous but potentially game-changing. There might be another option, Lily said, speaking the thoughts Nyx was sharing with her. One that doesn't involve running anymore. All eyes turned to her. The hegemony fears what Nyx carries, the potential for a new evolutionary path that combines Australian transcendence with human biology. What if instead of running we complete what they're trying to prevent? A full merger, Nyx confirmed, the stars in her form brightening. Not temporary like before, but permanent. Combining my genetic archive with Lily's compatible DNA. What would that accomplish? Kara asked. It would create something new, Nyx explained. A hybrid consciousness with abilities the hegemony cannot predict or counter. Their weapons and tactics are designed to fight Australians or physical beings, not a true hybrid of both. Diane looked at Lily with concern. That sounds dangerous. Would you still be you? Lily considered this. The brief merger had been overwhelming but exhilarating. She had remained herself while experiencing Nyx's consciousness alongside her own. I think so. Just more. It's never been attempted at this scale, Nyx admitted. The risks are significant. Kara's wrist device beeped. The hegemony ships are changing their search pattern. They're moving in this direction specifically. They may have detected my vessel's approach. How long do we have? Lily asked. Minutes, maybe, Kara replied. We need to decide quickly. Message came through on Kara's device. The hologram showed a new ship entering Saturn's orbit, much larger than the others. Its design was similar to the hegemony vessels but more elaborate, covered in spikes and protrusions that seemed designed to inspire fear. The architect, Nyx whispered, her form dimming visibly. Their leader has come personally. A transmission cut through their communications, a voice that sounded like multiple beings speaking in perfect unison. Relinquish the archive and the human specimen. Resistance assures mutual annihilation. Saturn's rings erupted with light as the battle began. Earth fighters emerged from hiding places among the ice and rock, their engines flaring blue against the darkness of space. The hegemony vessels responded immediately, breaking formation, to engage the new threat. Inside the Stellar Thorn, Lily and Nyx prepared for their merger while Diane and Kara monitored the battle from the ship's living walls. Your pilots are good, Diane observed as an Earth fighter executed a tight spiral around a hegemony vessel, landing several hits before darting away. They've been training for this possibility for years, Kara replied. But they can't win, just buy us time. Across the chamber, Lily sat cross-legged on the floor facing Nyx, who hovered at eye level. The Australian's form was more stable now, the ship having diverted energy to support her. Are you sure about this? Nyx asked, her voice soft. A temporary, Merger is one thing. What we're attempting now has never been done. I cannot guarantee you'll remain yourself. Lily took a deep breath. I saw your memories during our first merger. Your people have been searching for this solution for centuries, a way to regain what you lost in your evolution without giving up what you gained. Yes, but... And I felt what it was like, Lily continued, to exist as energy and matter simultaneously. It was incredible. Outside, the architect's massive ship moved through Saturn's rings, firing precision weapons that shattered ice into glittering clouds. 2 Earth fighters vanished in balls of dark energy. We need to hurry, Kara called. The architect is cutting through our defenses faster than expected. Nix's form pulsed with nervous energy. There's something else you should know. This merger will not just affect us. The ship, the Stellar Thorn, is part of me. It will be part of the transformation. Lily nodded. I understood that from your memories. The ship is a physical extension of your consciousness. And if we succeed, it will become something new as well. Something neither Australian nor human in design. A direct hit rocked the Stellar Thorn, sending Diane stumbling against a wall. The living surface caught her gently. We're out of time, Kara said. The architect is targeting us specifically now. Lily stood, steadying herself as the ship trembled. Again. Then let's do this. Nyx floated closer, her starry essence brightening. My people lost their warmth when they transcended flesh. But through you, through us, we can create a new path. Not cold transcendence, not limited mortality, but something gloriously between. They reached for each other. As their forms touched, Nyx began to dissolve, her cosmic energy flowing into Lily like water seeking its level. But unlike their first merger, Lily felt herself changing too. Her skin began to glow, tiny points of light appearing beneath the surface. Diane and Kara watched in amazement as Lily's transformation accelerated. Her feet lifted from the floor, her hair flowing upward as if underwater. Her eyes filled with cosmic light, yet remained recognizably human. It's working, Kara whispered. The process spread beyond Lily to the ship itself. The walls of the Stellar Thorn began to pulse with new patterns, the living metal flowing and reshaping. The entire vessel shuddered, not from weapons fire, but from internal transformation. Outside, the architect's ship fired its main weapon, a beam of concentrated dark energy that cut through the rings of Saturn like a knife. The Stellar Thorn absorbed the full impact, its outer skin rippling under the assault. Inside, Lily felt no pain. She was everywhere at once, in her human body, in Nyx's cosmic essence, in the ship's living systems. She could sense the hegemony vessels, feel their weapons fire as tiny pinpricks against her expanded awareness. More, she whispered, her voice echoing strangely. We need to go deeper. The merger accelerated. Lily's form became increasingly luminous, her outline blurring. Nyx's consciousness flowed through her completely now, bringing the full genetic archive of the Australian civilization. Kara's communication device beeped urgently. The Earth fighters are taking heavy losses. They're requesting permission to retreat. Granted, Lily said, her voice now a harmonious blend of her own and Nyx's. They've done their part. The Stellar Thorn began to change more dramatically. Its outer hull dissolved, reforming as a radiant nebula that expanded outward. The control chamber where they stood remained intact but became transparent, a bubble in the center of a luminous cloud. The hegemony vessels found themselves engulfed by this cloud. Their systems faltered, disrupted by an energy pattern their technology couldn't recognize, neither purely Australian nor merely physical. The architect's ship fired all weapons into the heart of the nebula, aiming for the chamber where Lily's transformed body floated. The energy beams passed through harmlessly, absorbed and redistributed throughout the cloud. The merger is complete, Lily Nyx announced. Her form had stabilized into something new, a body that appeared human from a distance but contained galaxies. Within its skin, eyes that held both human warmth and cosmic depth. From the luminous cloud surrounding them, a new vessel began to form. Neither the geometric precision of Australian design nor the utilitarian structure of human engineering, but an organic synthesis of both. It grew around the central chamber, incorporating elements of both technologies. The architect's ship backed away, powering up its engines for retreat. The remaining hegemony vessels followed suit. "They're running," Diane said in disbelief. "They fear what they don't understand," Lily Nix replied. "And what we've become is beyond their understanding." The architect's ship paused before jumping to faster-than-light speed. A final transmission came through. "This evolution will be reported. The hegemony will adapt." "Let them try," Lily or Nix replied, though only those in the chamber could hear. "By then, we won't be alone." The hegemony ships vanished, leaving only the surviving Earth fighters and Kara's vessel floating among Saturn's rings. Diane approached Lily's transformed form cautiously. "Are you still you?" Lily smiled, an expression that contained both human warmth and something older, wiser. "I'm Lily, and I'm Nix, and I'm something new that has never existed before." "A successful hybrid," Kara said, studying her with open fascination. "The first of your kind." "We are the first," Lily Nix confirmed, "but not the last. Across the stars, the scattered Australians will sense this new pattern, and on Earth, those with the right genetic markers will feel a calling." The new ship, fully formed now, began moving toward Earth. Its design was beautiful, flowing lines of light and matter intertwined, organic yet clearly advanced beyond anything humanity had built. "What happens now?" Diane asked. "Now we return to Earth," Lily Nix said. "There will need to be discussions, preparations. The remaining Australians will come seeking this new evolution. Humans with compatible genetics will need guidance as they begin to feel the connection." "A merger of our species," Kara said thoughtfully. "My superiors will have questions." "As they should. This changes everything." Lily Nix gestured, and the ship created viewing portals showing Earth from a distance. "But the change can be gentle, gradual. Not all humans have compatible genetics, and not all would choose this path even if they could." As Earth's fighters formed an escort around them, Lily Nix felt the vastness of possibility stretching before them. The genetic archive she now carried contained the knowledge of a civilization millions of years old, while her human side maintained the creativity and warmth that the Australians had sacrificed. The hegemony believed consciousness should remain bound to single forms, she said. They were wrong. The future lies in connection, in sharing, in the space between separateness and unity. Diane looked back at Saturn, its rings now settling after the battle. "I never thought I'd be part of something this big. A sheriff from Nebraska, witnessing the birth of a new species." Lily Nix smiled. Within her merged consciousness, she could feel both parts of herself in harmony. The ancient cosmic awareness of Nix and the youthful, passionate spirit of Lily. Neither dominated. Instead, they complemented each other, creating something greater than either could have been alone. As they approached Earth, the new ship adjusted its appearance, becoming less radiant, more solid, less likely to cause panic among those who might see it. Kara was already communicating with her superiors, preparing them for what was coming. "They want to know if you represent a threat," Kara said, looking up from her device. "We represent change," Lily Nix replied. "Whether that's threatening depends on perspective." The warmth Nix had yearned for and the transcendence Lily had never imagined now existed in perfect balance within their shared being, radiating outward like a beacon to all sentient life. A promise that evolution need not come at the cost of emotion, that advancement and warmth could coexist in brilliant harmony. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Lily felt Nix's wonder at experiencing the world through partially human senses again, the beauty of clouds, the blue of the ocean, the green of forests. And Nix felt Lily's awe at perceiving cosmic energies, stellar radiation, and the delicate quantum dance that underpinned reality. "Let me savor your warmth again, Earthling," Nix had said when they first met in the Nebraska wheat field. Now as their merged consciousness guided the new ship toward a future neither could have imagined alone, that wish had been granted in ways beyond either of their dreams. The Starborn lover had found her warmth again, and the Earthling had found her stars.